In today's video, we're talking about some trade rumors around the Toronto Maple Leafs, Ottawa Senators, Dallas Stars. The Sens have also made a big signing, leading us to think that another trade might be coming. Plus, we have several news from around NHL front offices. All that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a variety of NHL news and rumors to talk about here today. First up, we do have a few more players confirmed to be going to training camp on a PTO at a variety of NHL clubs. The Seattle Kraken will be having Daniel Sprong on a PTO. Be interesting to see what Sprong can do if he can finally stick in the NHL. He's been up and down here for the last number of years. Veteran centerman Nate Thompson is heading to the LA Kings training camp, and the Arizona Coyotes have invited Christopher Gibson on a professional tryout to their training camp. So it'll be interesting to see if any of those players can land actual NHL, either one or two-way contracts moving forward. As I mentioned, there's been several news items from around various NHL front offices the last few days, but we do have another piece of good news in Seattle. The Kraken have promoted Alex Mandrycky, who was hired as their analytics director originally, and she's done a fantastic job. They're very, very pleased with her work. They promoted her to assistant general manager. Now, of course, she will become the sixth woman elevated to that kind of role over the past year, so it's nice to see a lot of women getting opportunities in professional sports and in the NHL. And of course, analytics will continue to be her main focus and main priority in her role. And I do believe that she's probably the first AGM in the league that has that as her specific focus, at least I believe, but there could be a few others around as well. But good promotion there. In Seattle, we got word that NHL veteran Nathan Gerbe has announced his retirement, and he's going to be joining the Nashville Predators, working in their player development as a player development coach. So that's certainly nice to see. So we wish Nathan Gerbe all the best in his post-playing career. Longtime NHL player as well, Roman Polak, is joining the Columbus Blue Jackets as a European scout. Of course, GM Jarmo Kekalainen is the GM who originally drafted Polak back when he was first getting started. So obviously a connection there. And Polak is obviously playing days are over as well, and will now be working as a scout. A couple other players that we're going to talk about quickly. Jake Virtanen, according to a variety of sources, including Elliot Friedman and Ryan Richog, who covers the Oilers, are pretty convinced that he will end up going to Oilers training camp on a PTO. They've apparently been the team that's been the most aggressive to get him to go there. So we'll see if that becomes official here shortly, but they're under the impression that that is something that's we should expect to see. And the Blackhawks have also announced today that Muriel Hossa's number 81 will be retired and head to the rafters, and that will take place at their home game coming up on November the 20th. So Muriel Hossa, of course, Hockey Hall of Famer, now getting his number retired by Chicago. Certainly well-deserved. Had one heck of a career, one of the better two-way players of his generation. Now, as I mentioned, we have a fairly significant signing. Not too many names left out there that's going to gain, a guaranteed NHL one-way contract at this time of the year. But the Ottawa Senators have signed forward Tyler Motte. He gets a one-year deal valued at $1.35 million. He's one of those names out there that is, a lot of people were surprised, like Evan Rodriguez, who signed in Colorado just in the last day or so as well, that were unsigned. And I think part of the issue here might be that they were looking for just a little bit more money, trying to hold out, see what they could get for a contract. I know in the case of Rodriguez, there was reports that he had an offer. I think it was a 3-year deal, around $10 million total early in free agency, but turned it down. He also changed agents, so I wonder if he wasn't happy with his agent's advice. Maybe they thought they could do better. Turns out they did not do better. They did less. So hard to say. But Motte, I don't know what happened to him. I had heard there were several teams talking and that they were waiting. His camp was waiting for them to clear money, is what most of the reports had been. But that wouldn't have been the case for Ottawa. So I assume they've kind of swooped in here late, saw an opportunity, and got themselves a good player for $1.35 million. So this tells me a couple of things. One, Tyler Motte is going to be a good addition to their bottom six. It's certainly going to create more competition. Obviously, they've made some moves, a lot of moves, as we know, since the deadline. They traded Nick Paul. They traded Connor Brown this offseason, and they were their top two penalty-killing forwards. So Tyler Motte can certainly take one of those spots. That's something I was concerned about for Ottawa going into the coming year. They've made a lot of great changes. They've added some good talent with Giroux and DeBrincat. I think Tim Stützle's ready for another big step. Kachuk, Norris, Batherson. There's lots of great things there to like. Still could use another defenseman, of course, but the PK was something that I was kind of concerned, thinking might take a step back. But a guy like Motte will certainly be a big help with that. He's had a good stats when it comes to hits and block shots. Doesn't score a ton, but he scores big goals when he does. And I think this is going to be a very valuable signing. This also tells me that this is probably some Alex Formenton insurance. Alex Formenton is one of the few remaining restricted free agents not yet signed. Now, I know Pierre Dorian's gone on record to say he had hoped to have Formenton under contract by the time training camp gets underway, and that could still happen, but I wonder if they're still quite a ways apart, and this is a little bit of insurance. So, taking a look at the Sens roster, without Formenton, they have about 13 forwards that are kind of on one-way deals that are expected to be the main roster at training camp. Then you have a guy like Mark Kosteluk, who was a fourth-line center for them. I can't remember how many games he played last year. I want to say it was around 20, 25 games. And he looked really good. And he's like 22, 23 years old. And many felt he would have a good shot at becoming the permanent fourth-line center this coming season. So if you put him in the mix, there's really like 14 guys there. Now that they have Motte under contract, you throw Formenton, if he does sign, that's 15. So that's a little bit too many. Now, they don't need it from a cap perspective. They're still in good shape. They still have over $6 million in cap space, so there's no issues there, but they obviously need to trim the roster. They don't have many players that are waivers exempt, so they could possibly lose out a player through waivers or if they don't make a trade. And they're also expected to maybe bring in a player or two on a PTO. Now, there's only rumors around that. We don't know for sure. I wouldn't be shocked if guys like Tyler Ennis or Derek Brassard maybe we're in the mix there, but it's not confirmed yet. So I do wonder if there's a possibility we could see a move coming out of Ottawa to move a forward out. And I wonder if that player might be Formenton after all. If these negotiations don't go well, at this point, maybe they could let him sit. They don't need to worry about that too much. Yes, he's a guy who can kill penalties. He's dangerous shorthanded, has terrific speed. It's a player I think they like. But, I do think that it's a player that they're willing to say, listen, we're not going to be a terrible team without you, so to speak. He's important, but he's not that important, so to speak. But at the same time, I do wonder with the moves that the Senators have made, with guys like Giroux and DeBrincat and everything coming in, that kind of makes sure that he's not going to likely play any higher than third line. And I wonder if that might be part of the issue, kind of holding back a contract, that he's not really happy with where he sits on the depth chart now. Because he got a lot of top six time last year, especially in the second half of the year after the trade deadline. And that's not looking like it would be very likely right now. So I wonder if we might see Alex Formenton maybe be a trade piece out of Ottawa. Hard to say. So we'll have to wait and see, but I don't think that the summer of Pierre is completely over. I think there's going to be probably a subsequent move coming. Hard to say exactly when it takes place, but it could be delayed a little bit because, like I said, they're not in a desperate spot cap-wise. If Formenton doesn't want to sign, they could let him sit and start the season, which is certainly going to hurt him, I think, a lot more than it'll hurt the team. Now, on to some other teams we want to talk about. One being Dallas. Another RFA out there that's unsigned is Jason Robertson. Matthew DeFranks of the Dallas newspaper talking about Robertson's situation. Basically, his latest article suggests that a long-term deal is not on the table anymore. It's going to have to be a short-term bridge deal to make the numbers work. Probably 2 to 3 years, and they likely are going to have to move out of contract like either an Anton Hudobin or a Radek Faksa to make it work. But is Robertson going to miss training camp? We don't have a lot of days left now before camp opens. We're looking at a week, before they have to report for their medicals, around 6-7 days before they get on the ice here. So time's ticking on Jason Robertson. I think on a short-term deal, he's looking at least $7 million. And I know based on comments from the owner on a recent podcast, there was certainly clear that he wasn't fond of paying young players like Robertson big money on a long-term deal. So certainly seems to be a bit of a divide, but that's the way the market is going. Look at all the young players that have inked 8-year deals, for $7-8 million in the past couple of months. So he certainly appears to be well worth that risk, and he's young enough that I'd be more willing to give him an 8-year deal than somebody who's, say, 25, 26, 27. But at the same time, I do wonder if a Jason Robertson signing, whenever it does happen, likely is going to lead to a trade and a cost-cutting measure by the Dallas Stars. And those are your two guys. I think Faksa would be the preferred guy to go. But at the same time, Hudobin with their goaltending situation there could be a guy that's moved. Now, in Toronto, I do wonder if a guy like Rasmus Sandin is going to end up being traded or what's going to happen with him. I know Elliot Friedman recently referred to it as a standoff, and the belief is that the Leafs do still want to sign him. If you look at their decor long-term here, outside of Morgan Rielly, they don't really have anybody signed on a long-term basis. The majority of the defensemen are not exactly young. Like, they're all kind of well experienced and probably within a few years of being done. When you look at Brody and Muzzin and Giordano, like, they need guys like Liljegren and Sandin to be a big part of the future, especially there's not a ton of interesting prospects coming up through the ranks here. There's one or two, but hard to say when they're going to be ready and how important of a player they're going to become. But Rasmus Sandin and the Leafs still at a standstill, the same as kind of Jason Robertson. And there are some out there wondering if a trade could end up being the solution here, but it's kind of difficult to say what happens with Sandin with the Leafs. Some feel that Timothy Liljegren get a little bit too much money. That's pushing up what Sandin is looking for. He probably feels he should get as much or more than Liljegren. I don't know if Liljegren's really overpaid. He only got $1.4 million. I know there was a lot of so-called experts out there suggesting that both these defensemen could get close to $2 million on a short-term, probably 2-year deal this offseason, where Liljegren got less than that. So I don't know. I think Sandin's bigger issue is kind of like probably something what we might see with Alex Formenton, like we just talked about. I think he sees that lineup and no chance to really play or be a regular in the lineup, and I think that's a bigger part of the issue than it is term or money, and I think he wants to see a more defined role before he's willing to sign. So it's difficult to say how that's going to pan out, but I kind of hope for Toronto's sake that they don't kind of force them into a trade, because they really need guys like Sandin and Liljegren to be a big part of the team's future, because there's no real indication that they're going to trade an older, more experienced defenseman to create a spot for Sandin. The only guy that they could move out really that would make any sense would be Justin Hall, but then that's really going to weaken their right side. And now Sandin's a left shot, and I don't think he's real crazy about playing his weak side, so we'll have to see how that plays out. But still another player at a standstill here, and we could, the longer it goes, it does create more of a chance that we could possibly see a trade, but the reports are indicating that the Leafs still prefer to get this guy signed, of course, to be a part of the team's future. Only time will tell. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.